What's going on, everyone? It's Justin back at you for another live stream. We do it every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And today I'm super excited because we have a very special guest. So I'm going to be joined by Cody Wanner. He's grown his social media presence to over 100,000 followers across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, and focuses on filmmaking, adventure, and fun. And plus, he has a ton of experience working with brands. So welcome, Cody.
Thanks so much for having me, man. It's great to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So why don't you start off, give us a little bit of background, maybe why you started making videos on social media and how that happened.
Yeah, I've loved videos and making videos since I was probably in 10th grade. And in high school, I started skateboarding. We started recording it, and I was a lot better at recording the skateboarding than I was at the actual skateboarding. So I really just fell in love with it. I loved looking back at what we had just done and like the fun we were having. Then I kind of transferred that into just making videos of all of my friends and recapping summers and stuff. And it became something that I think my friends look forward to. At that point, my audience was like the 6 people closest to me, right? And like they look forward to it. We'd watch it together after I would edit it after a summer, and I love that stuff. And then I got into wedding videos to start making money with video, and then into commercial video. I had a video production company that we started in 2013 or beginning of 2014, and mostly commercial video, and really just learning from scratch, absolutely from scratch, everything about business marketing. Like I have a film degree from college,
Oh, wow.
but no business degree, So if I did college again, I'd probably get a business degree and just like make videos while I was in college instead of
Right.
the opposite, right? But so really just learning everything about the business by ourselves. And part of that was, realizing one of the ways to market yourself is to build a personal brand and to put yourself out there and try to become, try to do organic marketing. And so I dabbled a little bit in Instagram, dabbled a little bit in like LinkedIn, a little bit on Facebook, just like putting out little videos super inconsistently, maybe like one every 2 months or something. And during this whole time, I started watching Casey Neistat, fell in love with that vlog style. I remember like the first time I ever watched one of his vlogs. Like I think I might have watched one of his viral hits or something. And then at some point, the first time I like watched one of his vlogs, and then I watched another one, and I was like, what is this? Like trying to identify what is this thing, and just really fell in love with like the vlog style format. And I said at that time, like I should do that. I should create a vlog.
Mm-hmm.
And I waited about 2 years before I actually did that, but dove in, started daily vlogging for the purpose of increasing the visibility of my video production company in 2018. So, that was like, it was a very clear, people understood it. Like, okay, yeah, it's kind of weird that Cody's vlogging, but like he has a video production company, so that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it made sense in their heads. And that was like the fallback for me. Well, always, I was like, really, I just want to make videos about my life, and like I love
Right.
this. But I do have a video production company, and this is increasing the visibility there. So that I love that. I loved like capturing all the family moments and just like fun adventures with my friends, and it really felt like being a kid again, in a lot of ways. And just kept doing it for all of 2018. Channel really started to grow, and at the end of 2018, sold my half of our video production company to my
Wow.
partners,
Wow.
and completely exited that business, and was just kind of full-time creator, full-time video maker, and I've been doing that ever since.
That's incredible. So I want to jump back to something you said, which I think was really interesting, was you waited 2 years after having that epiphany of vlogging and things like that. And it's actually something I hear a lot from aspiring creators, which is like they have this goal and this motivation to like want to create content and do things like that. What is it about? Like, why do you think that happens in general? Like, why did it happen for you? Why do you think creators get stuck on just like starting?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is like, there's maybe two main things for me. The one is you don't think you like you're just wondering, how am I going to fit it in? Like, I have so much other stuff to do. Is this really going to work? Am I really going to be able to fit this into my already busy life? Which is a very valid concern. That's like, that makes a lot of sense. The other thing is the perfectionism that I think, the majority of creators struggle with is just like, okay, I could do this, but it's not going to be as good as I know it should be. Ira Glass talks about like the gap between when you're an amateur and you're trying to become a professional. There's this gap where like you're good enough to know that your stuff isn't as good as it should be. And like, you live in that space. Like I'm living in that space right now. You live in that space for a very long time as an artist, as as a creator, because you can, not only can you see yourself and you have your own set of standards, but like you see what everyone else is doing. And a lot of times you don't see all of the history that went into what helped them to be able to do what they're doing. Like, you just there's a lot of pitfalls in the whole thing of comparing yourself and just not being perfect. And I think overcoming that perfection hurdle is probably even bigger than the where's the time going to come from hurdle, to be honest. So that was it. Those were maybe the two main things for me. And at the end of 2017, I was reading this book, and there was a quote in the book from Grant Cardone. It was a book of like Grant Cardone quotes. It was a crazy little snippet book. And one of them was, if there's something you need to do, stop thinking about it and do it. And I read that and immediately just thought vlogging and dove in at the beginning of 2018.
Yeah. I love that. And, so the interesting thing about your evolution as a creator is you do actually have some business savvy, I think, because you had the video production company, right? Whereas a lot of creators, they start as a creator and then they get, brands starting to knock on their door in their inbox or whatever. And then they kind of have to figure it out. They got to figure out like, how do I work with a brand and all this stuff? And so you've actually had quite a bit of experience working with brands. And I'm curious if you could start and talk a little bit, like, what was your first brand deal? And how did you think through that process? Like, when that first came in, you were like, wow, this is interesting. Like, I didn't maybe think that this was going to happen from starting to vlog, or how did you think through that?
Yeah. So my first brand deal, the first deal that I got paid for, was with Storyblocks, which is a wonderful stock footage company. And we've done bunches of work together since then, and just a great company. Absolutely love them. Love the team. And first one we did, I had gotten hooked up with Space Station, which is a management company based out of Utah. And so Space Station's like a massive company that does way more than just integration, just brand integrations. There's Space Station Gaming. There's like all these different facets of Space Station, but got hooked up with Space Station through mutual friend Peter McKinnon. And the day that I met Peter, he introduced me to Holiday over at Space Station, and then Holiday over to Trav and some of the other wonderful people there. And they're like, yeah, we'll put you in front of brands. We'd love to work with you. We love your stuff. We think brands are going to love your stuff. And Storyblocks was the first one to actually take the chance on me. I think at the time I had maybe, I don't know, probably 30 or 40,000 subscribers. It was at a time when my channel was really growing. So it, I'm not sure like exactly what number of subscribers I had, but Storyblocks was like, yeah, we'd love to put place an integration with you. And it was crazy because coming from the commercial video world, like it's so kind of client driven, where like the client has a vision and like you sit down with them and like you might try to tweak it and pull it towards like whatever your creative vision is for it. But for the most part, like the client just has all of the creative control in a lot of, for a lot of video production companies. And with this, it was like, they said yes, like we signed the contract, and I kind of thought like, well, what do you want me to make the video about? It's just like, what even is this? So it was an incredible feeling of just like complete creative control and just a brand wanting to kind of partner up and like get behind my brand and come alongside my brand, and thinking that my audience and how I would deliver this message would be the perfect way. So they didn't want to, they didn't want to take the reins, because they wanted me to take the reins. And so that was an amazing feeling. But yeah, that was my first brand experience, was with Storyblocks.
Interesting. And so like I wanted to play a clip here actually, which I think is quite interesting, about how you think about, like, you made actually a video about why you love sponsored content. And so I wanted to play that real quickly because I think it's quite interesting.
Cool.
What I wanted to talk about today is why I love watching creators do brand videos, sponsored vids. And this kind of goes perfectly along with what Gary said yesterday on the vlog about like just being authentic and monetizing. So obviously, if you want to point out the conflict of interest of like, Cody, you just want us to like you doing brand stuff. I do, that's true. But I legitimately do enjoy watching other people that I know, creators, do brand stuff, because I think it adds this extra level, this extra layer of creativity. Like, this is on their channel. It needs to fit their brand. The caveat is, yes, it can't always, like, I know that you want to see stuff that just comes straight from me in my mind, but I think the added challenge of bringing a brand into the mix, I've loved watching other people do that, and I hope that you love watching me do that. That's what the thing at Catapult this morning was about.
If we were to offer you the exact offer you wanted right now,
yeah,
what is the perfect offer to you right now? What does it look like?
I feel very strong brand alignment with you as a culture and as an organization.
So super interesting, super inspirational. And number one, not a lot of creators feel comfortable talking about that stuff with their audience. So I think that sets you apart too. And so I'd love to hear you talk about, first of all, about like, how did you, seems like from the very beginning, you've talked about this stuff quite a bit in a lot of your content. And then also, how the heck did you get the brand to agree to let you film that meeting?
Yeah, no, that was really cool. That's a local company, Catapult, and I have a good friend there, and we had done. I think it would have been after that, or potentially before. It might have actually been before that. We had my production company had coded a project for them, and they allowed me to. And this channel, this video is on my channel as well. It's one of the most viewed videos on my channel actually, because it's like how to price a video production. How to price a production. And I actually go through like actual line items, and like it's laid out in the video. This is for Catapult, this company, this is how much this company will be paying if we get this job, and that was another really cool thing, where it's like they wanted to be open and just kind of super transparent about what it's like to work with a video production company. And I just love that stuff. Like, it's right along the lines of behind the scenes. It's along the lines of, future and like how, like seeing into the guts of how do business deals work? How do contracts get built? All of that stuff. I love all of that stuff. So that really, goes into why and how I think I kind of created that conversation with the people watching my channel right from the get-go. Is like, for me, it just always seems super comfortable to be like, yeah, this is a channel about building a video production company, about making money with video. And so when this channel becomes a revenue stream, of course, I'm going to continue talking about how to make money with this channel as a revenue stream. And yeah, so it was just it just felt very natural, and it felt like I've built the foundation with these people watching on this, on the idea of video is a great way to make money. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. Here's one of them. So it almost felt like the conversation had to continue that way, or else it would have started to become, disingenuous. So yeah, that's how it worked for me that way.
Interesting. I want to give a quick shout out to D and Fam, Slav Guns, Drea's Cuisine. Thanks so much for tuning in today. And then like talk about that confidence aspect when it comes to working with brands, pricing, figuring out how to price yourself. Because coming from the video production world, and this is what you're doing all day long. If a company wants to hire you, of course you're going to like charge them money for it. You're doing a job. But for some reason, a lot of creators don't think that way. They don't think that it's like something they should be charging for. It's something like they feel like, oh, just like being compensated with free product is enough. And yes, if it's an expensive product and you would have bought it otherwise, maybe that's fine. But how do you think about like valuing your worth when it comes to working with brands?
Yeah, it's a tough question because like, now that I've gotten way more into the business side of being a creator, and I have a lot more experience under my belt and have just talked with like so many friends all over the world in the industry. Like, you hear about projects that are $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 videos. And then you also, you've also taken a video for getting a free product. You know what I mean? Like there's this crazy spectrum of worth, of value for a person, a creator making a video. So it can be really hard to kind of figure out where you fit in. And for me, I think I always take solace in knowing like there's someone out there who's quoting higher than I am. There's someone out there who's getting paid more than I am for whatever this thing is. So I'm not going to feel scared or guilty about this price that I'm throwing out, and this goes very cross transferable over into just straight up video production work or wedding video production or any sort of creative artistic thing that you do for money. There's always going to be somebody who would say, oh my goodness, you're undercharging. Even the biggest number you can think of, like reasonably charging for a video project, there's always somebody who's going to say, oh my goodness, that's so much less than what we would ever do that for, and so that really helps me. And so from there, it's really about, how much do I like the creative on the project? How much do I like the brand? And like, how hyped am I to get to work with this brand and kind of be co-branding with this brand? Because that definitely plays into it. It's more than just exposure. It's actually like, it's just getting to co-brand with a brand that you really look up to and respect or whatever. And then there's the money component, so I try to take all of those things into account. And, I still do videos for just product, and I do videos that are thousands of dollars, I don't think you ever really get to a level. I mean, maybe some people do. I don't know that I'll ever get to a level where I'm like, well, I won't do anything if it's less than 5,000. Like I won't do anything less than 5,000 just because, every new opportunity, and it's part of my personality as well. It's like, if it's exciting, and I want to do it, I'm going to try to figure out a way to make it happen. And I will. The other thing I'll throw in here is having a manager, having a management company. And I have a video about this on my channel where I talk about how much I love Space Station, but also just, even when you're just starting out, if you can buddy up with somebody who you're willing to kind of act as a manager for them a little bit with brands, and they're willing to act as a manager with you a little bit for brands, that is extremely powerful, because then it really helps to kind of separate the creative from the deal. And what I mean by that is, like, if a brand reaches out to me and I'm super hyped on it, and I want to do it, I want to do it no matter what, basically. For me to be able to say, hey, let me loop in my manager here so you can talk about pricing. I'm really excited on this project. I got some great ideas already. I would love to meet with you about them, whatever. Then they're speaking over here kind of offline with no risk of hurting my feelings or like offending me because they've only got $200 to work with,
right.
Or on the flip side of that, no risk of me coming in and saying, I'll do this for $200 when really for them, this was a $10,000 thing. Like they were ready to go all in with me on my channel.
Right.
And now I'm here, I'm lowballing myself at some lower rate just because I really want to do it. So having a manager, someone who's experienced in the space, or at least willing to get experience in the space, is just super crucial for, I think, playing that kind of game of how do we get Cody to get paid as much as he can, but still do projects that he wants to do.
Right. One of the things that I wanted to talk about real quickly, I saw this video you released recently in partnership with Nomadic.
Yeah.
Like, not all brands would like be cool with this, right? Like, let's drop test our product and see what happens, right? Like, I was like laughing the whole video because it's like, that not every brand is going to be down to do this kind of thing. So can you walk us through how this happened and how you even had this conversation with them?
Yeah, man. No, I'm so glad you brought this up. This is really fun to talk about. Yeah, so this is Peter McKinnon's brand new everyday backpack from Nomadic. And so Peter and I are friends, and he gave, when I was at the beginning of 2020, I was in Toronto, and I was hanging out at his new headquarters, and I was leaving, and in the end of that video, it's a vlog, he gives me basically, I mean, we made it seem like I stole it, but really he gave me the version 1 of the PM Nomadic bag. And so I'd been using that bag and really loved it. And so then when he told, well, Pete didn't actually tell me, I guess Space Station told me, when they told me that he's coming out with version 2 and Nomadic is interested in sponsoring a video on my channel about it, I was like, of course, I knew it was going to be a great bag because, just from the work they had, the bag that I had from them already. Well, again, like you don't talk to the brand about like, hey, what video do you want me to make? Literally, like, no, the Nomadic sent me the bag and had a couple of words about like, this might be different, and this is the kind of configuration we gave you. Have fun, basically.
Okay.
And so I get this idea where I'm like, what video could I do that definitely would, that other people aren't gonna do? Like, what's a video I could make that will be a good kind of asset to people who are watching these videos on release day? Because a lot of times when a product gets released, you get a lot of the same videos all released at the same time, and like, creators take a bunch of flack for that, which I hate, because it's like, yeah, well, we didn't get to see everybody else's video. Like, right. we're all just trying to make it, So anyway, right. I thought, what can I do that's going to be a little bit different and have a fun kind of vlog style twist? And so this worst case scenario concept popped into my mind. And in the beginning of this video, I say, like, this video is sponsored by Nomadic, hopefully. Like, hopefully as long as they see it and say that it's okay and let me release it, it's sponsored by Nomadic. And I was 100% serious right there. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't sure if they were going to see it and be like, yeah, cool, put that up on the internet. And of course they did. And they were actually very hyped on it. And, it really is like a major testament to how much they believe in their product, because I mean, you could not do to a camera bag what I did to that camera bag and have the gear survive. Like, I don't know of another camera bag you could do that with. It really, the thing really just is like very solid. It's firm. So I think my video did a good job of conveying that. But no, it wasn't a conversation. It really was. I sent it to Space Station, and like my manager responded with like a bunch of emojis, and he's like, I love this so much. Has Pete seen this? This is amazing. I'll get you your link for the launch tomorrow, because I think I had like 2 days to make the video. That was the other thing. It was like, I wanted to give it a real test, but I only had a couple of days, so I knew that I couldn't like really give it a very good wear and tear just from daily use, right? So Anyway, yeah, a couple minutes later, he's like, "You're approved," like
Wow.
hyped to do this. Yeah, so I launched it on launch day, and it went over really well. But that was that video, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know for sure that it was going to work.
The one of the things that I think is really an interesting note here that I want to like highlight is that like oftentimes like think of yourself as a normal consumer. If you're going out there and looking at reviews and looking at features and benefits of a product, you do weigh both the pros and the cons. Not everything has 100% pros. Like there's always going to be some benefits and some drawbacks. And so like injecting a little dose of reality into your sponsorships, I think oftentimes comes across more authentic to your followers, right? Because it's like you're actually giving a legitimate like analysis or testimonial of your experience with the product. And so I don't know, when it like in watching that, it definitely felt that way. It was like, wow, yeah, okay. Am I really going to throw this thing in a river? Probably not, but it's like, and so it's like, I don't know. I from a authenticity perspective, I thought you did a fantastic job there. And Slav Guns had a quick question in here, which is how often is affiliate marketing and revenue share a part of your deals versus just like flat fee?
Yeah, I'd say for the most part, if there's some sort of flat fee, then there isn't also an affiliate link deal. So a lot of times there will still be a link, but it's just so that the brand can track like how much traction did we get from Cody specifically on the product or service, that's not always the case. Like I have done some where there was a flat fee and then there was also on top of that, like a revenue share affiliate component. But for the most part, I'd say like 90% of the time, if there's a flat fee, then for me anyway, there's not also this rev share. But yeah, so because of that, like in my mind, I really think of them as kind of two different revenue streams. Like there's sponsored videos where you get paid, and then there's affiliate links, ambassador links, revenue share videos where you get paid based on performance on link clicks and signups and stuff like that. So, and I do both. Like I'm constantly doing, like I have affiliate links with Artlist, Epidemic Sounds, Upbeat, other one, TubeBuddy, like bunches of that are just constantly running all the time, and those links are like living on videos. And so I'm making money that way all the time. But then I'm also constantly looking for new sponsored videos and integrations, that sort of thing. So it's not a great answer to your question, I realize, other than 90% of the time, it's just a flat fee. And then if, like if I just see a company I want to work with and I think my audience would enjoy that product or service, I'll oftentimes just like Google affiliate program XYZ company and see if they have one, and then just do it myself. I don't even have to talk to them. I can just start getting paid based on affiliates that way. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Coco had a question here. I think this is interesting for you, especially when you were starting out, which is she was saying generally a manager wouldn't come into the picture unless you're already getting a ton of requests for brand deals already, right? So what was the case for you? I mean, when you were like, at what point of your channel growth did like you start getting interest from, obviously it sounded like maybe you had some personal relationships already, but like how did that happen for you?
Yeah, I think, so for me, it was that way where all the brands started reaching out right around the time that I got hooked up with Space Station, and like it did happen in a more traditional way, where like I was seeing the channel growth, and then the opportunity for brand deals was there, and then I got connected with Space Station. But that doesn't have to be the way that it happens with anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I mean is, and yes, like probably it wouldn't be a smart business decision to, be paying, and I don't know exactly how all of the different management companies work, but to be like paying a manager when your channel is smaller and you're not getting a bunch of requests and you don't have like revenue coming in from that. it probably wouldn't be a good idea. But what might be a good idea, even when you're a smaller channel or when you don't have a lot of opportunities yet, is to kind of make it happen yourself with a buddy. You know, like someone who you consider they're also on YouTube, and the two of you, whether you're reaching out to brands yourself as like a quote unquote micro influencer and saying like, hey, would love to do something on the channel for $200. Like, could you send me product and I would love to do a highlight or something or a service or whatever it is. And then having this buddy who's able to help you negotiate that, again, kind of offline. I think that that's something that that you could do right from the get-go. But yes, I think generally for me, it was like the channel was growing rapidly. I was at either 20 or 30 or maybe 40,000 subscribers before I started working with my management company.
I'm muted. Sorry, I was coughing.
That's fine.
So yeah, so like when it comes to like your brand deal flow, is everything 100% coming from your management now? Or are you still doing your own pitching, or like how does it work? If you get an inbound, well, first of all, what is the email that you have in your business inquiries area or whatever? Is it your manager? Is it you? Do you forward stuff to them? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, if so yeah, a lot of opportunities come in straight through the management company, right? So the way that happens is, you know, a company like whatever, some company that is creator centric and they want to work with creators goes to Space Station. They're like, hey, we want to work with creators. Will you help us? And Space Station's like, yeah, like how much you want to spend, how many creators you want to work with, all of that sort of thing. And then Space Station will show them, like, here's all the creators that we work with. Here's the ones that we think are going to be a good fit for you. Take a look at them. Let us know who you want to talk to, and we'll hook it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that happens. That's a big piece of how it happens for me. But then the other side of that is, you know, daily there's brands that are, you know, just looking for creators to work with that are finding my YouTube channel and just emailing me directly, or going to my website and submitting something through a contact form, right? So when that happens, you know, a lot of times it's I have a keyboard shortcut that's like, thanks so much for reaching out. I'm not interested at this time. You know, a lot of times that's just like the response is, and that's makes it really easy for me to feel like I'm still being polite, but I also am not working with everybody who is knocking on the door. But when I do find someone that I want to work with, the response is, thanks so much for reaching out. I'm super excited about this. Let me loop in my manager so that the two of you can jam on numbers. But I'm really excited on this and would love to start talking about the creative side of it and what you have in mind. So yeah, that's kind of the flow.
Interesting. And what is your decision-making hierarchy of like whether you decide to work with, like, who do you reject and who do you like? I don't know. Is it just like kind of gut feeling, or of like what you think your audience would be into and what you would be into, or like how do you decide whether someone would be a good fit?
Yeah, it's I normally know pretty quickly, like if I have a video idea in mind, like if I can think of something that I want to make that would work with this brand, then I'll normally pursue it, or at least, like, you know, have a conversation. But if it's just like out there and it's not something that I'm interested in, then I'll just say no thanks. And it doesn't really involve a lot of thought for me. It's just like, does that sound exciting? No. Okay, I don't want to do it. Does that sound exciting? Yes. Okay, then I want to do it. You know, that's really the thought process.
So you don't, at this point, you're not doing any negotiations. You basically have kind of offloaded that piece of your business to your manager. If you mind me asking, do you how is that set up? Is it basically just like they get a cut of any deals that they bring you, or are you paying them a retainer, or like how does it work?
And it's different I think it's different with every management company, but with Space Station, there's not a retainer. It's there's a percentage that they get on any deal that they bring to me or negotiate for me, or like anytime they get looped in, and then they're going to get a percentage of that deal.
Okay. Yeah. And Max has a good question, which actually comes up quite a bit, which is when you're working with a management company, if someone reaches out to you, do you still run it through management company or can you do it yourself exclusive? And I've definitely, it depends on the deal that you've struck, right? With your management company, because
Yeah, it depends on the contract you have with your management company. So, and there's different words for like different types of companies, and I don't know all of them. Space Station's just like so awesome and just like super transparent that they just have always made everything really easy for me and just been like very upfront. Like, hey, this is this, this is this. You know, you're not exclusive. I'm not exclusive with Space Station, quote unquote. So yeah, any brand that came directly to me, I could work with them exclusively. I am nearly 100% sure that that would not result in me getting paid as much or having as good of an experience as if I loop in Space Station and have them do that part of it for me. Reason being, like, and this is just a hypothetical now, but you know, the conversation gets very muddy very quickly when I start talking numbers directly with the brand. And I've tried it before. I've done it before, where a brand will reach out and it's one that maybe I'm not really interested in working with, but I'm like, but if the price was right, I would do it. So I'll just respond to the brand and say, yep, my videos start at $3,000 per integration. I'm excited about it. Let me know next steps. And they'll just ghost, right? Because in their minds, they were thinking they were going to get to integrate with me at $500, right? Well, now, so that's one way of doing it. That's maybe like the, you know, if I would like, so let's say one of them came back and said, okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's keep going. Then at that point, I would loop in my manager, just because like for them to be able to work on the contract, for them to be able to work on the timelines, all of like the producing details that I am not a detail person. I don't like any of that stuff. Like that is them taking that part of the job for me is more than enough for the amount that they're taking. Right.
Yeah.
But going back to that original thing, company reaches out and I am interested. Then when I kick them over to my management company and say yes to them, I say, yes, let me loop in my manager. I'm excited about this. You can talk to my manager about rates. Now, if my manager says Codys starts at 3,000 and you know, he's excited about it, let me know next steps, there's a much better chance that they're going to come back to my manager and say, oh, the budget we have for this is only $1,000. Can we still get it done? Because they're not afraid of offending my manager, right? They're only like, they know that I'm not seeing that. I mean, I could see it. I could ask that. I could ask.
Looks like we might have lost Cody for a second here. Maybe, maybe not. Well, if we can see if Cody hops back in here, let me know in the chat how everyone's doing. Max, Coco, Drea, D, what's going on? I know Cody was mentioning that it was very windy where he was, so it's possible that he may have lost his Wi-Fi connection. I'm not sure. So yeah, let me know in the question. How's your guys' Fridays going? I have had absolutely oh, you there, Cody?
Am I back? Yeah.
There you go. You're back.
It's super windy here, and I think my internet got knocked out there for a second. But yeah, I was just saying it keeps the conversation flowing. It keeps the conversation flowing when you loop in the management company, and that's really where you want to be. Like, because if I truly am excited about it, yeah, maybe my videos normally start at 3,000 per integration, but am I going to be willing to do it for 1,000 because I want to work with this brand? Probably. You know what I'm saying? So to just keep the conversation going, that's the most important part.
Awesome. Yeah. And when you your Wi-Fi ducked out there, everyone came to life and they're like, great interview. I love this interview. So we've got a bunch of lurkers in the audience here. You guys come on, drop some more questions in the chat here. Don't make us feel like we're alone here. Yes, Friday is good so far. Coco said, I just started TikTok and it's super fun. That's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on platform diversification? So obviously, like, your largest platform is YouTube, and you've got a significant following on other platforms like Twitter and Instagram and elsewhere. But like, do you look at YouTube as your home base, or like, how do you think of like your content strategy overall?
Yeah, I definitely think of YouTube as my home base. That's a good way to say it. Like, I'm a YouTuber. Like, I think of myself like that. But I think platform diversification is fantastic, and even getting over into the newsletter and email address and just like stuff that you can actually kind of own. I think that that's really smart. But I think that YouTube is the strongest platform in terms of like audience relationship and like loyalty. Whereas I think about this a lot. TikTok, it's more like you have a relationship with the TikTok algorithm. Like, you trust that if you keep swiping, the TikTok algorithm is going to show you stuff that you want to see. It's less about the individual creators on TikTok. Whereas on YouTube, yeah, you do have a relationship with the YouTube algorithm, and you do trust that it's going to show you stuff that you want to see if you keep on coming back to the site. But like, we all have those creators where they release a video and we click on it and watch it. You know what I mean? And I think that, like, for me, there's not a TikToker that I feel that way about. Where it's like, oh, well, if they're going to put out a TikTok, I'm going to go and watch it. Like, I'm very happy just trusting the TikTok algorithm. So yeah, I think definitely diversify and grow as much as you can on each of the ones that you're having fun creating content for. But yeah, having a home base, having a place, and if that place can be YouTube, I think that that's still the strongest and maybe most economically leverageable platform that there is currently.
I need to write that, economically leverageable. I'm gonna pull that caption up here.
Good.
Economically leverageable.
Leverageable.
Yeah, that's definitely
the
I don't know if I'm spelled leverageable as a word, but we're definitely,
I don't know. Yeah, that might not be real.
We're definitely going to be putting it up here as the caption right now. There we go.
Awesome.
So yeah, so I totally hear what you're saying there, and honestly, I think that that's why, like, every time a platform crumbles, like Vine, or everyone was freaked out about TikTok getting banned in the US or whatever last year, like, everyone came to YouTube, right? Because like, YouTube is the tried and true place where you have been able to monetize if you're able to, meet the criteria and everything like that. But for some reason over the last 10 years, and perhaps this is changing, with a lot of new platforms out there who are trying to help creators monetize in a more direct way. But this sentiment that you're feeling about, you're saying about YouTube being a home base, has really been around for a long time, and I haven't really seen a platform be able to dethrone YouTube in that audience connection, that audience development aspect, like you mentioned. Totally, because like you said, like, it's very different for someone to sit and watch a 10-minute video versus a 15-second or 30-second TikTok or something, right?
Yeah.
In terms of like what that means in terms of audience retention and how intimate of a connection that person has with you and your content, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like, I have a video that's like 12 seconds long of me airboarding out at the window of my car. That's on Instagram right now and on TikTok. But it's doing better on Instagram. It has like over 100,000 views on Instagram. I think my follows on Instagram has gone up by like maybe 50 or something, but like, you get 100,000 views on a YouTube video, your channel is growing. You know what I mean? Like, for the most part, if someone watched a 10-minute video of you, even if they only watched half of it, 100,000 people watched half of your 10-minute video, you can bet that 1,000 of them minimum are hitting subscribe on your channel. And so there's just, it's a little bit more direct on YouTube, and it's like, it's a bit easier to follow, and it just makes the most sense in my head about the relationship that you have with a viewer on YouTube as opposed to Instagram, TikTok. Twitter is another one where it's not quite as clear in my mind as YouTube, but there's a conversation happening on Twitter. And that's another platform that I really believe in. But yeah, YouTube, it's super clear.
Yeah, man, Twitter in particular. I know a lot of creators don't think about Twitter, but like I have over the last 6 months, I have seen more impact in my business from Twitter than any other platform, because for two reasons. One, from just a pure networking standpoint, being able to connect with other creators and like you, we connected on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And then just from a business development perspective, like I met there's like a really prominent venture capitalist named Lee Jin, and she runs a venture capital firm focused on the creator economy. And I randomly met her on Twitter. She asked me to do a guest lecture in one of her a course that she was doing. And I got in front of literally like 150 of some of the most prominent like people in this space on Twitter. And like for the last 2 months, I have gotten so many opportunities. I've gotten brand deals. I've gotten networking,
That's
so
awesome.
just from Twitter. Right. And so it's like, and I don't have like a gigantic following on there either. Right. So it's like, I think people underestimate Twitter at their peril. And another thing, from even just a brand deal perspective, there are so many decision makers at brands who are like the VP of marketing or the digital marketing manager, the influencer marketing manager, who are active on Twitter, who have like 100 followers. Right. So it's like, if you start interacting with them, you think you're going to get on their radar? Probably. Right.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I think I just love Twitter for the community and for those conversations that kind of can happen organically. And like, it's always so thrilling to like just be having a conversation on Twitter, and then like, Chipotle just like hops in the chat, and you're just like chatting with some social media marketing manager at Chipotle. Like, it's just really cool. It's a really cool environment to be able to kind of feel like the world is at your fingertips. So yeah, big advocate for Twitter.
Yeah, and the one thing I talk about this, and I have a course where I help teach creators brand deal strategy, and we do actually focus quite a bit on Instagram because of the fact that most consumer brands have, if anything, they have an active presence on Instagram. So you can, if you're doing research about brand partners and different ways to pitch them, Instagram is the best place to really understand, without talking to them, what types of things that they're looking to do and what types of things they're promoting by just looking at their Instagram. What campaigns are they talking about? What campaigns were they talking about last year? This type of thing, right? Because most brands, I would say more than 50% don't have a YouTube channel. Yeah, they probably have a Twitter, but it's like Instagram is the one place where you can go to actually do legitimate research, and LinkedIn obviously too. But it can be very confusing as a creator to try to figure out, like, okay, well, like if I'm going to be pitching a brand, what am I actually going to be saying to them? Right. So like in the early days, in the early days of your social media career, were you doing pitching, and like, did you find that successful? Like, were you reaching out? Like what was that process like for you?
Yeah, I was doing it. The main one was Sheets, and then there's this other one that Sheets is a gas station around here, and then the other one, it was this haircut chain called Sport Clips, and I think Sport Clips, and like a local franchise here. And with Sheets, it kind of almost started out as a joke, where I just was like, in the vlog, I was always going to Sheets, and I started kind of like practicing, like, what if this video was sponsored by Sheets? And so with that, I just ended up sending them that video, and I was like, hey, just having fun, having a good time. If you'd ever want to do something, it'd be cool to work together. And nothing ever came of that. With Sport Clips, I don't think anything ever came of that, other than I think they did ask for one of the videos, and so they posted one of my videos like on their channel or something like that. So nothing numerical ever came from either of those. But that said, so that was like 3 years ago that I started doing that Sheets thing, and it kind of became like a vlog joke. I think 2 days ago, got this big package from Sheets that's like sitting over at my office right now that I still don't know what it is. So who knows, man? Maybe something's coming with Sheets, and there's like a long play. It's like the long play, right? So well, I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's just some something that they sent out that they thought was funny or whatever. But again, like those kind of little connections and anything that you can do where you can kind of just like, just kind of show a brand that you're playing at their level. We as individual creators and we understand social media, we understand algorithms a lot. Probably a lot more than what you think you do when it comes to this stuff and how brands and the people running those brands think about it. So yeah, just join the conversation and don't hesitate to reach out to some company that you really like and say, hey, just wanted to tell you I really love your stuff, and I thought that this tweet was really funny, and actually I use this product and service. You're just doing a great job, because there's a human over there that will enjoy that, and the other thing is, like, a lot of times we go into a conversation like that kind of thinking of it as a pitch, and it has like a very clear pitch direction, which is fine. Like, by all means, pitch away. Like, pitching is great. I love it. But you can take the whole other tact of just being grateful, making a connection, and moving on. And seriously, like, having no ulterior motive, not even the faintest ulterior motive, and seeing how that plays out for you. That's also another great strategy. So just keep those both in your pocket.
One of the things that I wanted to point out, which I think is a really valuable strategy for up and coming creators, is pitching local businesses.
Yeah.
Right. Because a lot of creators think of, I'm going to go after like Coca-Cola or like Adidas or whatever, like right away. But it's like, there is a huge amount of opportunity, especially like you said, you have a ton of expertise, whether it's video production or cinematography or camera, photography, etc. Going to there are so many small businesses in your local community that have marketing budgets. Yeah. It may not be $10,000, but it might be $1,000, right? It might be $500, which is meaningful to an up and coming creator. Why not go out there and target? Maybe the pitch isn't, hey, you can like I'll post about you on my page. That's not the pitch. The pitch is, I will help you create content for your social media or for your Facebook ads or whatever it is, and use your platform as your portfolio, right? Rather than just this thing that you're pitching for the organic distribution. So I really like that approach. And I think that that's something that I recommend to a lot of creators, which is just like, hey, like, you don't need to work with these giant, conglomerate brands right off the bat. Like, get some experience working with some brands in your local community. And by the way, you think people are out there pitching them this? They're not, like, those small brands. Your competition is going to be very, very small when you do this, right? And it's going to be especially going to be very compelling to a small business if you can go in there and meet them face to face, rather than you being some random person from across the internet that you don't know. You can go in there, shoot some footage, shoot some drone footage, whatever it is you're pitching to them. I think that's a really smart approach, especially if you're starting out.
And even if nothing comes from it other than the education of how it feels to try to make a pitch like that, how it feels to try to sell in person, how it feels to ask for money in return for a service, like, that's stuff that we as business people take for granted. But like, that stuff is so incredibly valuable, getting in those conversations. So just doing that. There was a video that I did in 2018 where I went around to, I think, 12 local businesses, and I asked them, can I make a video for you for social media right here on the spot right now? Can we just make it for $200 or something like that? And none of them said yes, but the vlog is a great vlog, A, so it made a great story, but B, it was a great experience of pitching in person, being told no, persistence, getting exhausted and keeping on going, like all that stuff.
That is, one of the things that I underestimated when I have started working with creators, especially with brands, is that there's a major intimidation factor when it comes to selling. Just being able to be very low ego about this whole process, working with brands, because that can be very difficult, hearing rejection and feeling like that every brand's going to reject you, because that's definitely not the case, right? But if you do have to understand that it is kind of a long game to some degree, in the beginning at least. You have to be willing to build up. Honestly, I'm not even really quite sure yet what the best way is, other than repetitions, other than just doing this and getting experience. I don't really know if there is a way that you can, it's hard to like hear no in the beginning, especially as a smaller creator. But I think that's really the only way to gain that confidence, because when it'll be that much sweeter when you hear that first yes, right?
Yeah. There's a book I want to write actually called Obsessed with No. And it's the idea that every successful person that you can think of in your head has a number of times that they've heard no. And it's way more than you've heard no.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee it. Obsessed with no. It's just, if you can get obsessed with the idea that like you got to get way more no's under your belt in order to be successful, it's just like that is a path to success. It's not, is it the only path? No, of course not. But you need to be hearing people telling you no. If you're not hearing no, you're probably not taking as many shots as you should be.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably just sitting there afraid that you're going to hear no. And like nothing ever happens when you just don't do anything. You miss all the shots you don't take. You know what I'm saying? Like hearing no is just it's just the step to where you want to go. And what you just said about persistence, excuse me, and repetitions, like that's if you can just stay in the game, if you can just keep on playing, so many, like 90% of your competition will eventually just stop playing and you'll just still be playing. You know what I mean? It really is a matter of just staying in the game, keeping on, putting up videos, keeping on reaching out to new people, keeping on being creative about ideas and getting a little bits of excitement about, oh, well, what if this would work? And just following that stuff. If you can just stay in the game, I'm telling you, like that is 90% of what's needed to actually become successful, is just not stopping.
You have this picture pinned on your Twitter profile. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so this is right before my channel really started to grow. And so the massive spike is the first video that I did with Peter McKinnon up in Toronto. And, got like my videos, I was getting 300, 400 views per video max. Like that was a good video. And that one I think got like 40,000 in a day or something. So that's what that, or 60,000, almost 60,000 in a day, right? That's what that big spike was. And then the next big spike is that little tiny sliver, is I was creator on the rise. So a bunch of my videos started getting views because YouTube put me on the trending page. But the idea behind this is like, if you've ever seen that that little cartoon of the guy who's digging for diamonds, and like he's going down a cave and he's digging for diamonds, and like he stops and he turns around, he starts walking away, but like his cave was like right next to the diamonds, and like he had just turned around a bit too soon. And when you're building a channel, when you're not seeing the views you want to see, we're not seeing the subscribers you want to see, and you're letting some of those metrics get to you, and you start to put a lot of weight and a lot of stock in that stuff. It's hard. It is so incredibly hard, because you're just like, you're questioning everything. You're questioning, your stuff's not good enough because you're good enough to know that it's not good enough. You're just questioning everything. You're questioning everything, and it's hard to keep on going. But that graphic is about, what if I would have let that stuff get to me and would have stopped before that major breakthrough? That would have been a bummer. So my mantra in life is going. It's like, or the kids version is just keep swimming. Finding Dory, but just keep going. Just don't stop.
But on that note, like, if you had to give yourself advice when you were starting out, maybe when you were in that chasm or the nadir of like the journey, when it was like before, you had kind of found your footing, or just general advice to like creators or who are up and coming, is there any like thing that you would encourage them to do that maybe you would have told yourself to do differently?
I'm one of those people who really has a hard time thinking about regrets. Like I'm like a no regrets type person. So it's hard for me to think about, doing anything differently because, you know, even the mistakes that I made, I learned so much from them. But I mean, it's two things. It's like, have as much fun as you possibly can, because like you can get a job that you hate. Like, don't make YouTube a job that you also hate and then just have two jobs that you hate. Like, at least like one of them, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's so really try to just have as much fun and enjoy the process as much as you can. And then the second part is just, along with that, is like every single time you take a step, whether you hit record, whether you hit upload, whether you're responding to a comment, whether you're making a TikTok account, and you know, trying out micro-sized content, whatever it is, it's all just a learning experience, and it's all just a step. It's one little step on the path, on the adventure, and like, it's all really good stuff, you know? So think of everything as this education that you're giving yourself, and have a blast doing it. Those are my two things.
Yeah, I love it. And you got high praise from DJ Pimp Daddy over here.
Yeah,
doesn't
right.
even regret throwing a camera bag in the river. Excellent bag review, by the way.
Thanks.
Well, Cody, thank you so much for joining us today, man. This was really great. So, where when you tell people to like follow you, is it Twitter? Is it where Twitter? To follow you?
Yep. Yeah, because, you know, I'm anything else that I'm doing, I'll at some point talk about it on Twitter. So
very cool, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This was a blast. Thanks to all you creators for joining us today here, and we'll be back at it next Friday, and we'll see you guys. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Cody.
Thanks so much.